Betas eat Duke Betas. Today on Duke by the River, we're going to look at last night's monumental win against Atlanta United in the CONCACAF Champions League. Oof, we got a lot of emotions to let loose tonight. We're going to also look ahead at this upcoming Saturday's MLS matchup against NYCFC. We still hate those stinking boys from the Bronx. So don't go anywhere, guys, because you do not want to miss this episode of Duke by the River. Let's get this started, guys. Dale! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Duke by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. First off, real quick, guys, I want to welcome everyone here, whether you're coming from YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Seriously, thank you so much for tuning on in, guys. Real quick, let me introduce to you guys my panel of duping experts here. First up, is making his Duke by the River call up here. He's our homegrown, Mr. Zach Labasso. Zach, what's going on? Welcome to Duke by the River, man. How you feeling?
Happy to be here. Feels good. First night I don't work that I can be part of this, so it's exciting.
We're hoping for a Brennan Aronson first start for you here tonight, all right?
Well, that's to be expected.
No pressure. Awesome stuff. All right, and of course, you know my other co-host here. Please welcome Justin Freiberg, a.k.a. Bald Man Living on Hater. What's going on, Justin?
You know, pretty damn happy after last night's game. And,
okay, some excitement there.
Hard to go to sleep when Atlanta fans are purely entertaining. And I'm excited to take a deep dive into this game and the thorough CONCACAF-iness that occurred.
Yes, sir. A lot of CONCACAF going on last night. The party didn't stop last night. We got some great entertainment thanks to the Atlanta United community. It's all fun and games, guys. We'll get to it in a little bit. But, of course, Justin has been training as in the arts of Union fandom, and he is starting to learn Castellanos is a bum, Atlanta is salty. So Kata is learning.
Kata asked me who should I hate on NYCFC, and I said that man is going to be diving in the river on Saturday, Castellanos.
If I didn't need to go into Union matches, I would throw a pacifier at Castellanos, but I'm not trying to get him ejected. I don't think pacifiers are harmful, but that's just me. But yes, we do not like us. Yes, I need to go to Union matches, though, unfortunately, guys. So I will not be throwing pacifiers on the pitch. Listen, a lot of Atlanta fans last night, and I get it, I guess we'll dive into it, guys. I understand the frustrations, and honestly, I literally, the three of us here were right there 2 years ago. I mean, I think we all remember 2019 and the way our season ended. I can remember Paul, Catrino, and Adam Booth, consoling me because that was my first real Union heartbreak. And, seeing those guys console me, I was in a bad place for that night as well. But, I didn't take to social media to let my frustrations like some of the Atlanta fans. But look, I think you guys know it with me. I have a lot of friends down in Atlanta, and it's still all love down in Atlanta. But come on. Mm-hmm. We all know how soccer works. When you have the lead, a lot of teams tactically like to flop, like to waste some time, I should say. So this should come to no surprise for either the Union side or Atlanta United side. Zach, it's your first episode here on Duke by the River. Just kind of your thoughts of what you thought of Atlanta fans last night.
Well, so obviously, I get you're upset with time wasting and stuff. No one likes it, but it is part of the game at the end of the day. But the way they were acting was as if no team had ever done what the Union did ever before in the history of the sport, which just isn't the case at all. If you go and see any game where a lesser team, and I'm not saying the Union are a lesser team, but last night they were definitely the worst of the two sides in terms of possession and passes and pass accuracy and all that stuff. When you're getting dominated and you're pushed back into your third, and you get a goal or two, or in the Union's case, 3 on the counter, the team that's still on the front foot is still there on the front foot. Right. So you have to do what you can to slow the game down and not let them get into a rhythm and not let them dictate the game like they were prior to you getting those 1, 2, 3 goals.
That's so true.
Like I saw Atlanta fans saying like it's embarrassing to the sport. It's why people don't watch. And I'm like, you can say that, but like it happened. Like you watch any Premier, like if you ever watch like Brighton play against Man City, they're going to do the same thing if they take the lead. Like just because it happened to your team doesn't mean you can have blinders on and think that it doesn't happen anywhere else. It's only ever happened to your team.
Those are some really, really great points. And to that, like, don't sit here and say those things and act like your team doesn't do that. Atlanta is Atlanta's essentially another South American club. And I know very well what goes down in South America. Flopping, all that type of stuff is very prevalent in the South American game. Justin, your message to Atlanta fans.
Just why? Like, why say it? What? I'm sorry. Like Johnny, like you, I have friends down in Atlanta, right, who are usually pretty reasonable, and I had them messaging me, and I didn't. I tried to not interact as much because as happy as I was, I knew that game could have been 3-2, 3-3. Like in that first half, we were thoroughly outplayed. There's no question about it. But I mean, the stuff that they were saying, like Zach said, first off, there's the reason they call it the dark arts. Like, you know what? It's not the pretty side of the game, but sure as shit, if every team, if you are up by like a goal or two, you are wasting every damn second you can when getting away with it. And you know what? The Union did it. Yeah. Am I not happy about some of the stuff? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There was some light contact, but you know what? For all Atlanta fans who say their team would not have done the same thing, you are so full of crap. Like every team does it. Every team, and especially when Atlanta was at their heyday, when they had Miguel and Joseph combining, the amount of times I saw Miguel on the floor, like, you know what? My favorite line that I saw several times was, "I lost all respect for Philadelphia," and my response was, "Wait, was I supposed to care that you lost respect for us?" Because, as they say, no one likes us, and we don't care. Who gives? Like, I don't hate really any club. Certain teams' fans, sections of them, I don't like, but I don't really hate any particular team. Right. But you know what? Just the amount of crying, the amount of it was just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. It frustrates me because it's just absolutely bonkers that they say that, and it's CONCACAF. Like, it's CONCACAF. CONCACAF gets ugly. It gets dirty. It gets gritty. And you know what?
Oh, it definitely did.
There's a reason why MLS teams have not fared particularly well. It's just because they haven't known over the years how to get into the dark arts. And you know what? Jim's is the right guy to lead this team in the ways of this shithousery.
That's right. That is 100% right. And it seems like Atlanta United fans don't realize how American sports work. This is Philadelphia. No one respects us, okay? No sport. No one respects us here in Philly. So we are well used to it. But yes, there was action on the pitch. We'll get to it. Really, last night, it was just a great night. But before we get into the action on the pitch, first, the lineup. Pretty much the same thing. Andre Blake and goal, back line of Kai Wagner, Jakob Glesnes, Jack Elliott with Olivier Bizo. Your midfield, the same thing. Jamiro Monteiro, Leon Flack, Jose Brujo Martinez, Alejandro Bedoya. The forwards is where we got the surprise. Jim went with Kasper Shabilko and Corey Burke as the two forwards. And we'll get to why that kind of didn't look right. But this match was a tale of two halves. First half, Justin, I think Justin mentioned, really, we should have been down. We really should have been down. Atlanta had a couple good opportunities, but thank you to Andre Blake. We were able to get out of that first half with a 0-0 scoring line. Second half, completely different game. The Union turned it up. They changed. I don't know exactly. We'll get to what they did differently, but it was a great second half showing. Kasper Shibilko, oh my God, we need more of this. 2 goals and an assist there, and the Union walked away from Atlanta with a huge 3-0 win, 3-0 on aggregate. More importantly, like we talked about in the pregame, we got those stinking away goals, boys. 3 of those. So it was definitely great to see. Zach, I want to start with you here. Like we mentioned, this was definitely a tale of 2 halves. What was the difference from the first to the second half where we saw the Union just turn it up, man?
All right. So just for starters, I didn't get to see the first half. I was at work, but I was getting texts from one of my old coaches who I also coach high school with, and he was just telling me just how bad the game was, how bad certain players are playing. He mentioned Corey Burke specifically and just how like lost out there he looked. And then I came home and I think I started watching around like the 60th, 65th. And the Union looked better than they have all season. And I was like, well, what's going on? Like, was I lied to? Or is Jim, like I said in my article following the second leg of Saprissa, the best halftime talk giver in the history of sports? Because clearly he has some magic. He's a silver tongue in the locker room, and he knows how to get his guys going. Because, I mean, still, Atlanta dominated possession. They had more pass accuracy. They completed more passes, even in the second half. But the Union did what they do when they're on the back foot, and they counter well. And, I mean, Sergio coming in obviously is a big part of that because he's super fast. But the passing up the field was so quick and precise, from what I saw at least. And their goals came, I think the one goal came from Atlanta's corner. Like, they played out quickly, rolled it out, maybe Blake, or they passed it out. I don't really remember exactly, but ball got played up, 1-2, played through, and we got a goal. And that's pretty much how at least the 2 goals that I saw happen. I didn't see Kasper's first goal, but the second 2 goals were like just quick fire counterattacks, which sometimes the Union do keep possession and they dominate teams. Because they have a roster that can do that. But when they aren't, they need to be able to do what they did in the second half, but for the entire game. Like, we're lucky that Blake was there in the first half from what I've heard, because if not, I don't think that anyone would have thought that we would be going into halftime 0-0 without Blake. But yeah, so that's where I stand on that.
Yeah, man. Seriously, we'll get to that too, but thank you. Owen, thank you for that, man. I don't think my girl's brother would appreciate that. He's a big Joe Rogan dude, but we appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Justin, what did you see, man, for the difference in the first and second? We were here together going crazy.
Yeah, so the first half, listen, it was Atlanta. We talked about it. It was basically like 60-40 in terms of percentage. It was leaning more towards like 2/3, 1/3 by the time the half ended. And you know what? It came down to 2 big things, in my opinion. One was just there seemed to be a disconnect with the team. I mean, you had, Corey is a good player, but he seemed to take some heavy touches. The passes just didn't seem to be there. They were getting these good quick counters to start the play, but then it wasn't ending where it should have. And the other thing was Andre Blake. I mean, he made 6 of his 7 saves in that first half, and most of them of the spectacular variety. Like, there's a reason why, we know that Andre's been here for 8 years. It's crazy to think that we drafted him all the way back in 2014. And I remember that draft. We traded over DC. I thought we were going to get Steve Birnbaum, and drafting Andre was the best decision this team has ever, one of the best decisions they've ever done, before they basically stopped drafting players. And
that's crazy.
And I said it yesterday during halftime, and we had Mark on, when he was live from the game, and I said, and he agreed with me. I said, if Tim said, okay, if they bring on Sergio, which I thought I kind of agreed with, but the biggest thing I said was if they can clean up these mistakes, if they can connect these 1-2 passes, they're going to spring the counter. They're going to get up the field, and Atlanta is being caught up the field. And Mark agreed. He saw the way Miles was being pulled up, the way Sosa was being dragged out. I mean, they said it was supposed to be a 4-3-3. It really was more like a 3-4-3, the way they lined up. And then second half, you see Sergio comes on. Corey didn't have a bad game, but he was taking a heavy touch. And I think it was, and Sergio and Casper work better. And you know what? Early on in that second half, the Atlanta still looked good. And then that corner comes out of nowhere. And Glasnes flicks it on. And then if you look at it, it actually takes a touch off of Bello. I noticed it during the play, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I watched the highlights about 3 or 4 times. You can see it deflect off of Bello. And Casper's right there with an open net, taps it in. It was perfect. And then, the second goal was exactly what I had been saying at half. They cleaned up the mistakes. They made the better passes. Atlanta was pressing. And when you're pressing that high on a team that knows how to counter, all of a sudden you have Sergio and Leon combining with the 1-2. And next thing you know, Leon's in, and you have one defender between him and Casper. He plays a great ball. Casper takes one touch and blasts it past Guzan. And all of a sudden, it's 2-0. You have 2 away goals, and you have stunned Atlanta. And you know what? This comment is perfect. Not shooting for the third goal and passing it. Casper could have made for the hat trick, but he knew the better play to get that goal was to pass it off to Fontana. And that just goes to show how well this team is playing. And I think it leads to an interesting point. Right now, Casper is the best striker in Champions League.
Who would have thought that, huh?
I don't know if there's much for all this crap we give him. Currently, I have to look at this. I'm pretty sure he's leading the goal, the quote unquote the Golden Boot race for. He's up there in terms of one of the better strikers, and no one would have ever thought that, myself included. I like Casper, but I've always thought that he could score more goals. He just sometimes his touches are just a little off.
Would you go ahead and pick Casper over Robert Lewandowski? I mean, I think that's pretty fair. They do play the same national team.
I think one's the hotter striker right now. I mean,
that's kind of fair. Isn't one not playing right now?
Yeah, Lewis can stay on the field. I mean, what can I say? Casper's on the field. Lewandowski's not on the field, man.
I guess. Let me ask you, why did Jim start Corey and Casper? Because, I know Corey's got some speed there, but I don't know what that was. It was just a terrible noise. But back to it. So Corey's got some speed, but they kind of play very similarly. What was the thinking behind Corey starting?
The more I think about it, I said that Corey can do what Sergio can on a slightly limited basis. He's not nearly as quick, but he can stretch the field. The problem was, Jamiro was firing these balls into Corey's feet, so Corey had to take a weird first touch. And then by the time he takes that touch, Sosa or Robinson were already on him, and that ball's going the other way. And I don't think Corey's game is necessarily as a hold-up guy. He can, but that's really Casper's domain, which is why it would have been better to have had Corey, played in a little more. So I think that's why you have Casper and Sergio work better as a pairing, but you don't have another real speedster as a striker option, and that's one of the concerning things if you're going to rotate Sergio out, because Sergio Sergio he's not really he has the injury problems, so I don't think he's going to play a full 90 this season. But you don't need him to play a full 90.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Justin kind of touched upon it, but Zach, man, just give me your thoughts on Casper's performance, man. The 2 goals and assists. Yeesh.
Yeah. So I am also with Justin's camp, as in I'm always very quick to write off Casper when he goes into his dry spells, because they do happen fairly often. We saw last year, especially, he got off to a super hot start. And we were like, oh, he could be like a 15-goal guy, and he finished with 8. And I think he had like 5 in the first like 4 games or something. But yeah, like if he's scoring like he is, I don't see any reason why he can't lead. I mean, he's leading CONCACAF right now. I just checked. He's got 4 goals. He's right ahead of Tenorio for Cruz Azul, who's got 3, and Chara for Portland, who also has 3. And yeah, I mean, like we talked about, the unselfishness on the 3rd goal to Fontana. I would hope that most strikers in the world would see that opportunity and be like, yeah, no, this is the easy pass to make. I mean, maybe not Balotelli, but he's a different story. But I feel like most strikers would make that pass, but it just shows that he's up there with big strikers in terms of his awareness on the field. Sometimes his touches, like Justin said, are a little shaky at times, but I mean, it happens. He's not the perfect player, but he gets the job done, and hopefully he just keeps riding this wave and he can keep scoring in bunches.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can make the case that Casper was the man of the match, but you could also make the case that Andre Blake was the man of the match. Andre finished with 7 saves last night. And if you watch that first half, Atlanta had some good opportunities. I can think on the top of my head 3 opportunities where they should have been goals. And thanks to Andre Blake, he kept the ball out of net, and it was just another one of those clinical performances by Andre Blake. Justin, what are your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on Andre's performance last night, man.
Sensational. I mean,
sensational.
Listen, Andre. I've said this. Andre could have gone, if Jamaica's FIFA ranking was higher at the time. I believe it's 2016 when he won his first goalkeeper of the year. Him and Kamara Lawrence were both linked to England. However, they didn't qualify for work visas because Jamaica was not in the top 50, which is what the main qualification for getting a work visa is in England. But he was sensational. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And other than having one bad season, Andre has single-handedly given the Union more points than they would care to admit. And Jim has admitted it purely that we don't want to have to rely on Andre, but knowing he can do that, knowing he can pull those plays out, just goes to show why it's important to have a quality keeper. And I mean, the one save in my mind that I think of in that first half that was huge. There were 2, but the one that really comes to mind is the one on Joseph in close. I mean, he squeezes in between the center backs and gets kind of like a toe poke, but he kind of curls it, and it was going right, maybe above Andre's head, like to the side, and Andre gets his hands up and it instantly, and it pushes it wide, and the Union clear it. That and the save on Emerson Hyndman's volley, which, my Lord, that was a first touch sweet volley that was going top shelf. Like, there was no doubt about that. And Andre gets up and does what he does. Like, he's 6'2", but he plays like he's 6'7", 6'8". The amount of times that he gets up to shots up in upper deck in the corners, and it's straight up bonkers. And I love having a goalie like Andre, and I would hope he never leaves. And I also would love to see him play somewhere else just to show that he's not just an MLS goalie. I think he's one of the best goalies in CONCACAF. There's no question.
Kata, it's just like in any other sport. Defensive players have a tough time of winning MVPs. However, last season, Andre Blake was in the running. He was at the finals for voting for the MVP because he was just spectacular.
He should have won.
But yes, what's up?
He should have won the MVP last year. He should.
It wasn't going to happen.
I would agree with you. It's you know how it is, Kat. It's politics, and it's just I feel like the MLS wouldn't allow a defender or a goalie to win it. That's just how I feel. One other point before we move on to our preview. Jim Kirchin and his future, as Kata wants to let us know that Jim's hoodie last night. We would tend to agree that hoodie was.
Lord, where can I get it? I need to buy it.
You can get it in the pro shop.
I might have to get a purchase. Let me look at it.
I actually might have to too because I actually have one of the with like the training shirts that they have similar to this with the Union.
Yeah.
I got that when I went for the kit launch, and I was like, oh, like I gotta get it. Like they got some. The Union did a very good job of getting associated merch related to this jersey because
100%, man.
Jim with the serious drip. I mean, let's be honest. The man is fashionable.
Drip,
man, he's got some style. I no lie, one of the most stylish coaches in the league.
Besides the great style that he has, Jim had another monumental win, and if you're looking now at the Mount Rushmore or the top 5 wins in Union history, Jim has been a part of every single one of those wins. He takes this club to new levels, and now we're starting to get into the realm of potentially talking about Jim being poached by bigger clubs. These are realities that we need to start thinking about as Union fans. So Zach, I'll start off with you, man. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think Jim is going to leave? How would you feel? Like, give it to me, man.
I could definitely see Jim going to Salzburg with Marsh. Is Marsh definitely going to Leipzig? So with Marsh definitely going to Leipzig.
Yeah, Nagelsmann was confirmed to Bayern.
Yeah, I saw Nagelsmann to Bayern confirmed. I didn't see anything about Marsh yet, but yeah, so I could definitely see that pipeline opening up for American coaches to go from Salzburg to Leipzig to wherever after that. And I think it would be great, especially if Brendan stays one more year. It could be super interesting to have that reunion. I don't know if Jesse March has any inkling to bring him along with him to Leipzig. Could also see that happening. But I mean, I'd be happy for him. Like he's given everything to Philly. He won us a supporter shield. Arguably should have won us an MLS Cup, but whatever, it is what it is. We won one trophy. But yeah, I mean, if he left, so would he leave? Like he couldn't leave mid-season. Like, so how would that work? Would they just get like an interim guy until the MLS season ended?
What about LeBlanc from U2?
I could see that. I don't think Jim would leave mid-season.
Yeah, I was thinking more on the Salzburg end. Like if they wanted to sign Jim, would they put like someone in there as like a fill-in guy until the MLS season ended, and then they brought Jim in as the permanent place?
I could see maybe a caretaker manager.
Yeah.
Or if they want to do the season. I don't think Jim to Salzburg is linear. Don't get me wrong. I really do think Jim will be one of the next American coaches to Europe. I just think that, like I said, with Marsh going to Leipzig, I don't know if I see Brendan going over there because they do have Szoboszlai. They will have Caden Clark going over there. I just think there's going to be a log jam in that position. And I don't think necessarily that he's going to need to go there. But Jim, I mean, there's so many opportunities over there. I would not be surprised. Jim is really one of the up-and-coming American coaches.
For sure.
I mean, he's stamped his name as a coach of the year, supporter shield winning. Like, at this point, outside of an MLS Cup or maybe even Champions League, what else is there to prove in this league? For him to say, you know what, I'm gonna take I'm gonna try. And Jim even said, if the offer is right, he'll go to Europe. He has no problem with that. But it's like he also is a Philly guy through and through, and he's not going to leave the team, out to dry and leave mid-season, which is why, like I said, it would be in the winter, and I don't know what point if teams are going to if you live in the winter and for the summer, it's like, okay, well, like then what does that team do in the time being? Like, do they have a caretaker manager? So it's like there's a lot of question marks. But I definitely see, and it'd be a shame, but I definitely see I wouldn't be surprised the next couple of years if Jim goes to Europe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't be either, man. As much as it would suck, Jim's given us so many great memories. I mean, just speaking as Philly sports, like I don't think I'll ever connect with a manager or coach ever the way I have with Jim Kirshen. It would definitely suck, but this is kind of part, and kind of I'll brought it up. Do we get anything for Jim? No, it's not like player sales. Like there's not like a transfer fee on Jim Curtin, but it is the sign that we are doing good things here in Philadelphia. The fact that a European coach or European team would be willing to take on a MLS manager, that's a really big deal, guys. And we shouldn't take that for granted. It's definitely, it's showing what we're doing here in Philly, and it's definitely good. I want to say hi to Hector. What's going on, Hector? Hector Vega, our honorary, he was one of our Union fans down there representing for the Philadelphia Union. Brave. Luckily, he's okay. So his brother actually is the producer of one of the biggest Atlanta United shows down there. Cool. It's the one of the only Spanish speaking MLS shows we have. So I'm sure Hector had his bodyguards with him down there. Good. DOOP. Yeah, we got to get the Philly sports guy on here. We definitely do. What's going on? Gotta appreciate you coming on. Unless you're Nagelsmann in Germany. It's semi-true. One more player I want to get to before we get to our NYCFC preview. Leon Flack, guys. It's more and more every match. He's starting to become an underrated signing, probably one of the better signings of this all season. Justin, man, you've been on Leon Flack as well. Like, what are your thoughts on Leon so far?
I mean, my guy is low-key probably the underrated signing of the offseason for the team. I mean, he played well. And again, he's been here maybe a month and he's already dominating. I mean, he's like, I'm curious why he didn't get much time at St. Pauli, but you know what? It's their loss because he had a bit of hype come in, in the youth system, and he's come in. He's been here around a month, and he's already bossed his way around the midfield. I mean, he has made his influence very well known in all the games. And as I've said in previous episodes, it's really tough right now to take him off the field.
Yeah, I mean, how literally, like, how do you take him off the field? I agree with you. He's definitely been a very underrated signing. But boys, listen, big win down in Atlanta. I mean, I think we have now, like, one day we're going to have to do an episode where we talk about like our Mount Rushmore, our top 5 Union matches, because this definitely has to go up there in our top 5. But we'll see those guys next Tuesday. Of course, we will get you guys the preview show for that as well, so make sure you stay tuned to that. But guys, without further ado, listen, we still got MLS play, right? So this upcoming Saturday, we'll be back at home. We'll be back at the Sioux to face off against NYCFC, a team we got a little bit of displeasure with. So as you guys know, here on DOOP by the River, we like to get you guys very prepared from enemy lines. So without further ado, our special guest today to preview this great match with NYCFC, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Sweezy from the MLS Aces Podcast. Tom, what is going on? Welcome to DOOP by the River, man.
What's up, guys? What's up? I'm glad to be sneaking in behind enemy lines here for some MLS talk.
Hey, of course, man. Listen, on the pitch we're enemies, but off the pitch, listen, we have friends with the Red Bull, friends with NYCFC. At the end of the day, it's about growing our league, my man. So we're really honored to have you on here, man.
See, I agree with all of that, but friends with Red Bulls, don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, we don't openly admit that. It's like,
no one ever openly admits that.
I got to be politically correct, Tom. Jeez. Tom, honestly, first off, before we get into this, I really want to thank you, man. It was such short notice. You guys over at the Aces Pod, you guys are doing something really freaking special. We need more pods like you guys. The MLS is growing, and, league-wide podcasts are really big in America, with the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, the MLB having podcasters like you, that is super important to look throughout the MLS. Kind of, just explain what is MLS's Aces Podcast for those who don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, MLS Aces, we are a podcast, a website, a blog, kind of however you take in knowledge and information is kind of what we try to do in throwing that out there, right, into the world. We cover everything from high-level U.S. men's and women's team national stuff to Major League Soccer being the focal point, right? Obviously, that's what kind of started it all, and that's what we're named after. But Major League Soccer being that main point. We touch on, NWSL, USL. It's the four of us over there. It's myself, Tom, Sam, Jason, Vaughn. We really love soccer in America, and I think kind of that's what really comes out in our passion and talking about it, writing about it every single week.
Well, Tom, you're in the right place because here you got three guys who love American soccer as well. We just want to see the product grow here.
Exactly.
So you're obviously a New York. Is that a Yankees cap as well, or
no? So I'm a Mets fan. Which
okay. Wait, is that the black?
No, this is not the black. This is the Boston Red Sox hat. So I see. Like, it's weird. Grew up a big baseball guy, right? So it's almost fitting. My soccer team plays in a baseball stadium. But really, like, as a kid, my dad, big baseball guy. We traveled around to different parks constantly every single year. We did like a father-son trip, right? Fenway Park was one of my favorite baseball stadiums to go to. I bought myself a hat from it, and this has just kind of been like my, just extra hat roaming around. I need a haircut bad type of deal thing, so I threw on a hat real quick,
I feel that, brother. I feel that. So, obviously, the MLS is weird because it's kind of brand new. You don't have, your dad or your mom or generation of fans like in the other leagues. How did you pick the blue side instead of the red side with New York?
So when I was really getting into soccer as a whole, it was the year. So it was 2014. It was the year before NYCFC really kind of came out and, introducing the Lampards, the Pirlos, the mixed disc route at that point. Right. So like, just crazy that back then that he was a star. But it was really kind of like just before that time. And I went to a few Red Bulls games with some friends, and I just didn't really like the feel of the game, the vibe of the game, really. Like going there, like Red Bull Arena was never really my favorite place to go to. Fans were kind of just meh. And then when I heard, New York City coming out with the team actually in New York, you did have Andrea Pirlo, Frank Lampard, David Villa, again, at the time, being the big thing. I was like, yeah, like that's cool. Like, give me it, and I like baby blue too. So that helps.
Sorry, mixed disc that
TBT, man. TBT
made me chuckle of that. That's a
tough part too.
Throwback.
Yeah. Mix.
Dude, I love that kid, man. I love that color too, man. It's definitely hard. Well, so let me ask before we get into NYCFC now. We kind of were talking off air. It's been really interesting seeing the evolution of NYCFC. You mentioned it when you guys came in the league. You started with a bang. I mean, David Villa, Frank Lampard, Andre Pirlo. That's a great way to attract this casual soccer fans in your area. To now, you guys kind of like looking at like diamonds in the rough. Kind of like talk about the evolution of NYCFC from what we saw back then to now, man.
I think NYCFC came in with the idea to win over the casual soccer fan, win over just soccer fans in general in the New York metro area. The big names definitely do that, right? You can talk about every big name ever to play in this league. Andrea Pirlo is one of the biggest, right? David Villa, one of the biggest. Frank Lampard, one of the biggest. And I think that's really kind of where it started, but then they realized that quickly that's not going to win on the field when Pirlo's kind of walking around and in 3 seasons has an assist. So quickly it went from, okay, let's attract fans. We have names, we're selling jerseys, we're selling tickets, but let's win on the field, right? And I think kind of that's where that shift came. We signed a true number 10 in Maxi Morales. We went with some proven Americans. We went with some proven South American talent, at the time being a Ronald Matarrita. We also went over and got proven European talent with guys still on the team, with the Maxime Chanot and Anton Tinnerholm, guys like that, really that aren't maybe, household names like a Frank Lampard, right? But at the end of the day, are top 5 in their respective positions within this league. And that's why over the past 3 seasons, NYCFC's really just kind of been like around top of the East, right? Wherever you're talking about them, yes, they're not the most talented, but they're also not looking at them outside of the playoffs, arguably this year, but we'll that's a whole other subject.
Absolutely, my man. All right, so let's get to the 2021 version of NYCFC. It's been an interesting year already for you guys through 2 matches. Yeah. You get upset by DC United, and I spent a lot of time on TikTok. We've actually been converting to some people to MLS fans, which has been really exciting. We have a New York sports fan who is starting to get into NYCFC. And it's like his first year. I'm all in on MLS, and then NYCFC loses to DC United. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but just hang tight there. Week one, right? Well, it great to that point because then the next week, you put the spanking on Cincinnati, 5-0, man. So what's going on with NYCFC so far?
See, I want to say my excuse for week 1 is it's week 1. Don't worry about it. 2-1 loss. Really, it was a set piece goal and pretty much like a wonder goal at the same exact time. So I'm not worrying too much about the result from week 1. It was on the road as well, right? I'll take it. At the end of the day, this NYCFC team isn't as strong as it has been in previous years, so I wasn't too concerned. But then you go into Cincinnati, and me being the I don't know the right word, but as a New York sports fan, everything sucks. So really. I was like, okay, we lose week 1, week 2. We go out against what's been the worst team in the league the past 2 years, and we win on 5 set piece goals. I don't know how I feel, but it's maybe in a trending upward position. But I mean, Cincinnati's just not good either, and I'll say that to anyone and everyone.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's what we talked about before the pod. It was like, okay, yeah, DC upsetting was kind of like. Yeah, there was a wonder goal, and they once they get up, they seem to bunker in. But then I was like, it is Cincinnati. Like they did sign some players, but remember week 1 they were up 2-0 and they blew it, and they probably should have lost. Like they might not be last, but they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna be a playoff team.
No. Cincinnati, look, I know that we're not talking about Cincinnati, but real quick on that is last year Cincinnati did the same thing. They bring in a big name of Jurgen Locadia. They think the world's fixed. This year they bring in Brenner. I don't think the world's fixed. I don't think they're wooden spoon, but I don't think their world's fixed. But at the end of the day, when you are playing a team of that caliber, really being able to take advantage and putting up 5 goals, I think you do what you have to do, and that works,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. So this, like you said, this team doesn't seem to be as strong as it was even like last season or even 2 seasons ago. But if there is a way NYCFC is going to just kill us on something, what's a way that NYCFC can get a point or even get the 3 points here?
I think controlling the midfield. I think the strongest part of our team is when you have a healthy Maxi Morales kind of wheeling and dealing things at the top point of that midfield. You have Keaton Parks and James Sands sitting behind him, just breaking things up, right? Last week against Cincinnati, James Sands was in the middle of, it felt like almost every single play, every single one, 50-50 opportunity for a ball. He was breaking up tackles. I'm a big James Sands fan, and I really think he is a key to kind of having this midfield churn. And I think if Keaton Parks is doing his thing, James Sands is doing his thing, Maxi Morales, yes, at 34, 35 years old, if he can maybe get a spark or two from that attacking midfield spot, I really feel like that's how NYCFC at least holds on for a draw. You guys are a very, very tough side, right? Philly's a very, very good team, especially what we saw last night against Atlanta. This is going to be
What'd you think? What'd you think, man? What'd you think last night?
I loved it. I'm rooting for you guys hard. I think it comes from the, I'm rooting for MLS in all capacities in CCL. I didn't think you guys would be this good as what you've shown so far. I know last week you had the loss and season play, but coming off short weeks, you're preparing for CCL. I didn't really take too much into consideration there with that. But you guys are a good team. I'm just kind of hoping with a little bit of a CCL draw and with a full rested NYCFC squad, we can pull out maybe a win. But I'm kind of hoping for a draw here. I'm a realist when it comes to it.
No, I hear you, man. That's definitely the advantage for NYCFC. I mean, you're talking about 3 weeks of soccer play, and we've already played in 5 matches. That's a lot of freaking soccer already been played, while you guys have only had 2. So the thing is, though, in the MLS, I've noticed that doesn't always help the opposing team. I even remember my first year of coverage of the Union, 2019. I'm thinking home opener. We're going to take it to TFC. These guys just played 2 tough matches in PCL. We're going to take game 1. And then we wind up doing 2 or 3, 1 or something like that. And it was okay, maybe I shouldn't take too much stock at that. But that's the MLS. Especially, where you're talking about these clubs, your DCs, your Phillies, your NYCFCs, your Red Bulls, your New Englands. You never know what's going to happen with the 5 of us, man. You really don't.
No, there's definitely that group in the middle, right? I feel like that 3 to 7, 3 to 8 range where it's any week they're going to come out, they're going to win 3-1, or any week they're going to come out and they're going to lose just 2-0, and it's just not going to be pretty soccer.
You think so? Let me ask you overall. Do you think the lineup will stay the same from Cincinnati match to our match here?
Yes, I think. The biggest question mark for NYCFC's on that left wing, last week we played Janssen on that left wing, an academy kid, a kid that came up in our academy with the Giovanni Reynas of the world. Very young. I like him a lot. He was a little mistake prone in that first half against Cincinnati. So that was really kind of where I'm sitting at as the biggest question mark. I think outside of that, though, the 10 other starters on the field, they're set. That's it. That's our best other 10 players. It's kind of just really that left wing option. Is Ishmael Tazori Shradi healthy? Is Janssen going to come in and play? That's really it. The wingers is the forwards in general for NYCFC a little, weak on the depth chart there. So we'll see.
Is Ferber still hurt?
Yeah, Abear is still hurt.
Abear, sorry.
Yeah,
Abear. Okay.
I do wonder. I did watch the first half of that game, and Janssen, he looked good. The only concerning thing with the way Maxi and Castellanos like to play, he seemed a little slow and deliberate.
Yeah.
And Maxi, a lot of these guys like to play quick. So I'm sure as he gets up to speed, as he gets more starts, he'll get into it. But I did like what I saw from at least the half that I watched. He does have those moments where he drifts inside and he just slips that little ball through and he tries to make that play. And he looked good. There's raw talent there.
Look, I think he is very good. That kind of that young, first really academy group for NYCFC. We've already seen a lot of the talent in there. Gio Reyna, again, being one of them. James Sands. Obviously,
that was a little bit of a flex right there, man. He was
I will flex it as much as I possibly can, even though he never played for us.
I would claim Gio.
Joe, you got Joe Scally over at Mönchengladbach.
Exactly. Joe Scally, Gio Reyna, James Sands being, arguably the biggest 3 names, right? Janssen being next. Tavon Gray, who's a center back coming off the bench, next, right? We got a lot of talent throughout this academy, and it's I'm at a point where it's nice to see them coming on and getting minutes on the field.
Yeah. I would claim Gio Reyna for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
You have to claim him for the rest of your life. PJ, if you didn't see him wearing an AC Milan jersey, just so you know.
Hey, Tom, what you need to do is, if you're able to do it, just make a Gio Reyna NYCFC kit, man. Just get it custom made. If they allow you to do it, you should just do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. That's fine. I'll get every academy kid as long as they go over and they do something in Europe.
Listen, we're still waiting on Brendan and Mark. Mark just won a Belgian league, so we'll take that. First American to do it. So
Mark
we'll definitely take that. It's a lot of fun.
Mark McKenzie is one of the best dudes that I've ever spoken to. You guys praise that man with every ounce that you guys can. Do. I love Mark McKenzie. I just, that's all I have to say is I love him. Great dude, great soccer player. I'm excited for his future and kind of to follow that.
Yeah.
Great on the pitch, even better off the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the opportunity. Well, I guess you could call it an opportunity, but I went to an academy trial at the Union a couple years ago, like 4 years ago now. And Mark was on the other, like, so I was with like the trialists, and then Mark was on the other team, and I'm a forward. So playing against him was not a very enjoyable experience. But yeah, I mean, I always like to chat with like the center backs and stuff, and he was a great guy to talk to. But
exactly.
Not fun to play against.
If you guys ever get the chance to interview him, I don't know if you have or not.
We did.
He's fantastic. You can talk to him about like anything and everything, and he's just, like you said, great on the field, even better off the field as a person.
You know what, Tom? Obviously, despite our displeasure with one another's teams, it is really cool to be able to see a lot of these MLS fan bases to be able to grow with their youth academies. Like, this is part of why the MLS is starting to become a better product. Seeing these young kids in these areas develop, play for the first team, man, it is so special to see. And you know what? It's really starting to gain some fans like that. Now the Aronson family, they're Union fans for life, and that's what we hope to see.
Exactly. 20 Aronson generations from now, you guys are just, like, I remember Brendan.
And now we're just waiting for Paxton to make his debut, my man. Definitely,
exactly.
Hopefully that. So I'll get Zach into this. So Zach, for the Union perspective, do you think with as much soccer as we have played in these past couple weeks, do you think Jim is still going to be the full Monty Tealsadi and put out the same lineup here, man?
I can't see him putting out the same lineup. I couldn't imagine him doing so, considering, again, we have to play Atlanta on Wednesday next week or Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yeah. Okay. I just have no. I don't think it's going to happen. Because especially them having to defend for as long as they had to defend in that match, guys' legs are going to be done. So I definitely see some changes. I could see him throwing Corey back into the fire, see if he can, maybe with Fontana up top this time, to see if like maybe he can play out of the issues he had in the first half, which were plentiful to say the least. Maybe we see Paxton get some minutes instead of Montero. I definitely think it could be a game where Jim definitely tries some things and gets creative with the lineup. Considering he's been talking about prioritizing Champions League, so I definitely think he could make some changes and experiment a little bit on game day.
I hope so. I understand like the whole, we're going to put out the same lineup until you can beat us, but we're playing a lot of soccer, and Champions League, it has to be the priority right now. So I would like to see some guys take some rest. I mean, I think after Casper's great performance on Tuesday night, I think he deserves a night off. That's just me, man. Definitely deserves it. And we have strikers. I mean, we have Corey, we have Sergio. Obviously, fun. Yeah. I want to see, you know what? Depending on how this match goes. Now, if NYCFC give us a match and, it's close into the 80th minute, maybe don't put those kids out. But if you're up like 1-2 goals, put some of these kids out. Like, I know Jim doesn't trust them, but you want to see some of these kids because, you still want to get your legs under you. You want to get that experience. That's really crucial, especially some good opponents there. So again, phone call from the Union to let us know the lineup for Saturday. We're going to get that there. Justin, do you agree, man? You think we're going to see a little couple changes here and there?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think I agree with the Casper idea because, I mean, if you got a striker that's hot, you want to keep playing him. Like he's starting to really come into his own this season, and I think you go back to. I mean, I think you could see Corey and Casper, just because I think you want probably a healthier Sergio for Atlanta. But I mean, as of that, I don't know if Leon gets rotated. I don't think Brujo does because he's suspended for the second leg because of the 2 yellow cards and 2 straight games.
Right.
I don't think that he gets rotated. Maybe Ali. I mean, Ali or Jamiro, maybe. Outside of that, I can't see, and I'm not going to see any rotation in the back line. Maybe Finlay, maybe. I don't know. That's always a question mark when you have that third capable center back, and then of course you're going to have Andre in that. I mean, it's never a question. You write that in permanent marker.
Yeah.
In permanent damn marker. I love that. No, that was definitely, I guess it wasn't really much of a surprise seeing Brujo. Tom, I wasn't gonna put that up, but that was pretty clever by our boy PJ there.
See, there's been a few comments from this PJ guy. I'm not a fan of PJ right now. Not a fan.
I promise you, PJ's a good dude. He sees the opposing team and he wants to get after it. All right, boys, listen, let's get to the nitty gritty. Union NYCFC. Tom, you are our guest here tonight. Give me your prediction. What do you see happening in this match and a final score, my man?
I see NYCFC taking advantage of you guys playing midweek this week, midweek next week. I think we're talented enough, and obviously we've proven on set pieces we can finish the damn ball. You guys did give up some opportunities to Atlanta last night as well that maybe a healthier Josef Martinez finishes or a more succinct team finishes, whatever you kind of want to say there. But I really feel like NYCFC take a win here. I think they take the dub. I think it's a 1-goal game. I think it's close, but mainly because you guys playing midweek this week, midweek next week. Maybe there is that rotation. I'm not exactly 100% zoned into Jim Curtin's cell phone here, but I mean, I think we could take a 1-goal win.
I will say on your set piece point, so Miami didn't score on a set piece, but both of them were on crossing type of situations. So yeah, definitely could definitely take advantage of it. And Federico Higuain got a goal, so Maxi Morales, look out for him for sure.
Yeah, look out for the 5-foot Maxi.
So look out for Maxi Morales being sneaky in the box. Justin, man, give it to me. How you feeling about our boys?
After Miami, it was kind of they fell asleep for 2 plays. I mean, they dominated most of the game, and I think they took Miami a little bit for granted. I think they took out their frustration on Atlanta, and I know they're prioritizing CCL, but I mean, you talk about set pieces. You have some large gentlemen in the box for the Union. I mean, you have a center back pairing that are both, I believe, 6'5", 6'6". Like you got some height there. You have Casper is so I'm not too worried about set pieces. I think, and Andre's been better about coming out to establishing his presence in the box, which is for a goalie is always key for me. It's going to be a tight game. These games usually are. It's not on the very suspect measurement NYCFC field, which I still don't think is a full field, and that area along the infield is still always very slippery. That's one of my bugaboos, besides the fact that it looks ugly on TV. I think it's a close game. I was initially going to go with a draw, but I think it's a low-scoring game. I'm going to say it comes with a late goal. I think it's 2-1 Union. I think it's a very close game up until the end, and then the Union get that winner, and say between the 85th minute. But it's good. It's going to be a dogfight. I think NYCFC is going to want to take advantage of a midweek game. But I think the Union are always come to bear, even if they always seem to be prepared. Jim gets his team ready, and that's one of the things I like about Jim. So I'm feeling a close game, but I'm feeling a 2-1 victory.
Absolutely. Zach, what about you, my man?
I'm going 2-2. I think it'll be a draw. I think it's going to be a very open game. I think that the Union are going to come out and try and dictate the game as opposed to what happened last night. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of space between the lines, which will lead to counterattacks for both teams. And just a lot of like NYCFC attacks. Blake gets the ball, throws it out, Union straight on the attack. It's not going to be a lot of keeping the ball side to side, all that stuff. And yeah, I think both teams are capable of scoring goals, clearly, as we saw in the past week. NYCFC with 5, Union with 3. And yeah, I'm expecting a very open, exciting game where both teams pretty even possession wise, just taking it to each other. One like punch for punch, it'll be like a 10-round bout. But yeah, 2-2 in the end.
As it always is when it comes to any Philly sport or any New York sport coming together, it definitely is certainly like that. I do think that fatigue is going to be in question here for the Union. You know, you've been playing a lot of soccer early on this season, while NYCFC really haven't had to worry about that. I do think, though, we'll find a way to get the draw here and take the points. We lost last week, and I think that the Union, they're not going to lose back-to-back matches. I really don't feel like we have what it takes to lose back-to-back matches, but I think I do see a 1-1 draw here. Tom, before we let you go, we can't let you go without asking, what's up with the stadium situation, my man? We got to get the update. What is going on with the guy in the stadium situation? I know we just went through COVID. It wasn't easy for anyone, but what's going on, man?
You know, I wish I had more of a definitive answer of like, this is why we don't have a stadium, right? But what a lot of news has come out recently. New York City, the ownership groups, everything like that have come out and said within the next 3 years, we're going to have a plan for a stadium. A plan. Not a stadium, a plan.
A plan.
A solidified spot for a stadium, right? Obviously you guys have a very Philly, centered podcast. I'm not going to get into specific locations within New York, but there was one location, I think 2 years back, that I thought was absolutely perfect. The New York Islanders won that bid and everything like that. So
what's it called? Belmont Park or
yes,
Belmont?
That Belmont Park, that whole racetrack area over there. I thought that would have been a perfect spot. You have Belmont Park, you have a soccer stadium. It's open. It's Queens. It's all of that. I would have loved it.
Well, if they're going there, why not Long Island for you guys?
As someone who is from Long Island, I no longer live in Long Island. As someone who's from Long Island,
cool, man, cool.
I would have loved that, but now, it's like I moved. He moved to Long Island. No, but they're never going to do Long Island. I think the whole New York City aspect is like that's like the draw, right? Is there these?
So they want like Manhattan or like.
It's never going to be Manhattan. It's going to be like Queens, the Bronx, something like that. I don't think you're ever going to find anywhere in Manhattan for a stadium a soccer stadium to pop up, right? It would be cool. It'd be cool if you could get like, the MSG of Major League Soccer. It's just never going to happen.
The Jets were trying for a while.
Yeah,
let's be honest. NYCFC talking about getting a stadium is like, New Jersey telling us that 295 is going to be completed in a few years. It's never happening. There's always construction.
It's the same reason why the Galaxy, when they first popped up in 96 and everything like that, and kind of their history leading into that is why they have a stadium in Carson and not Los Angeles, right? It's tough to find space for stadiums in New York City. I will never say like, something should be done or should have been done by now. I will always say that, but you're talking about, arguably the most popular city in the world, and trying to find space for stadiums is not realistic. But at the same exact time, Queensboro FC from USL Championship, they just announced their modular plan, and they have this whole beautiful stadium setup coming, and that's kind of a little bit of a dig in the shot of in the side of New York City fans, because it's like there's a stadium, there's room.
I will give the team credit despite that plan, and it is at York College. It is only a 7,500 seat stadium, So, and they're helping the school essentially get the stadium like that. They're be helping with that. So as much as people give like, oh, how does this lower league team? I'm like, yeah, but it's like, I mean, 7,500 is like less than half of what even the lowest MLS stadium capacity is. So
exactly, and that's a fair point. And PJ, I'm still not a fan of you right now. You never put anything like that in
I was gonna say, I thought about it, but something tells me Tom probably doesn't want his soccer stadium.
Yeah, I got family in Staten Island. No.
And no offense to anyone's family or from anyone from Staten Island, but just never Staten Island.
No.
Never Staten Island.
Oh man. I mean, we got our stadiums in South Philly. I mean, it's not really much different.
But at least you guys, like, it's a soccer-specific stadium you can call your own. At the end of the day, that's all I want. I know plenty of NYCFC fans. That's all we want is we just want our own place, and hopefully it's coming soon.
Tom, the problem with us, I mean, I think for the majority of Union fans, like, we're cool being in Chester, Pennsylvania. Like, we're kind of secluded. Like, it's pretty, like, calm out there. Like, we're in our own little bubble. But a lot of the average Philadelphia sports fans, they don't understand why we play out there, and they don't consider the Union part of the city because they're out in Chester. But it's tough. It is tough to put a soccer-specific stadium in downtown cities, especially like the Union. Let's face it, up until now, really haven't had much success, weren't really making much money to begin with. So, it's as much as I would love to see the Union next to the Eagles or the Sixers or the Phillies and Flyers, it's kind of not really, feasible to see. But it's just,
It's tough. It's not like, a lot of these expansion clubs coming in where you're – exactly that comment of, the Fire with being in Bridgeview. One of my co-hosts, Jason, he's a Fire fan, and he bought season tickets in 2020 before the pandemic happened. He was like, we're back in Soldier Field. I'm like 20 minutes from the stadium. I'm so excited to be there every single game, whatever. COVID happens. And he was like, well, the year I buy season tickets, of course that goes down. But it's tough with expansion cities. You see like Charlotte, I know it's obviously Sacramento before their whole mess came in. Like you see these plans and these stadiums popping up. They look beautiful and they're fitting into these downtowns and everything like that. But realistically, when you have major cities and clubs who have been around for a while, it's not as easy just kind of doing it, right? We can all say, hey, I want a soccer stadium, but where are you physically putting a soccer stadium and everything that goes along with it, right? So easier said than done, but still something for New York City should have been done by now, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are now in your seventh season as a franchise?
Seventh. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's time. Clock is ticking, New York. Clock is ticking for sure. Tom, listen, man, we really appreciate you coming on, especially again on such short notice, man. It was truly great to have you on here. You're a great dude, despite the color you're wearing on your shirt there. But seriously, you guys, I would love to, get to know the MLS Aces podcast. Kind of where can people find that, and where can people find you as well, Tom?
Yeah, if you guys want to just overall know more about us, MLSAces.com. Go there. You'll find kind of bios, blogs, everything like that. If you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is at MLS Aces. Instagram's MLS_Aces. Pretty much just search MLS Aces wherever and anywhere you kind of take in content. And we're there. Just, look for the four faces, and then that's pretty much us.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it. Hopefully we get to work again very soon, Tom. Yeah. For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Tom Sweezy from the MLS Aces Podcast. That is Justin, a.k.a. Baldman, living on Hate Freiburg. And that is Zach Lavasso. I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we are telling you guys to DOOP on. Talk to you guys soon.